man.
There's just like a big square right there. It's like nothing.
What
Somebody
the
get
hell?
paper for Jesse's boiled over Topo Chico.
Yeah, seriously, would that thing get too hot and you just whoa?
Fuck, this is why I can't have nice things, man. But we know what this.
Permeate it.
No. But we know what the topic is.
Permeate, mother effer.
The permeate period.
Perforate.
Yeah, dude, you take the little roller,
Yeah.
and you roll over the dough.
Yeah, it helps keep the bubbles out.
But
All right, let's get started from this point on.
we do know what the topic is. Am I correct?
Yes, haunted scarecrows.
What in the
Whoa!
fuck?
I
Yeah,
researched
what
the
the hell?
wrong
Yeah,
thing.
we're all on the. Oh, man,
What?
you got ahead of the schedule, bud.
I knew it was coming. So
Coming
I
up
just
next
guessed.
week, haunted scarecrows.
All right.
All right. This we're going to be talking about specifically is the Navy pilots and the UFO sightings and the things that have happened. Well, really, in the last
Look at the tension.
Jesus Christ, the last 6 years when this has come out.
Sorry, go ahead.
Can't. I lost all my vibrato.
I told you, man. You should have finished lunch.
I should have. The calorie count.
Have some of
Jiu-jitsu
his
pad.
boiling Topo Chico.
I have my own
Yeah,
boiling
what the
arrowhead.
hell? Like
This is
everything on this
insane.
table is just boiling.
His is the same, see?
What Patrick didn't tell us is that he's taped a Ouija board under this table.
You fuckers.
Dude, yeah.
The whole podcast.
Jesse's
You
jewel
remember,
just
though.
starts sliding across
Remember
the
where it
table.
is?
And
Remember
we're
what
like,
happened last
remember,
time?
we'll
Yeah,
plot it
dude.
later.
I remember that too. Just
That's
everything.
fucking weird.
Dude, I got a little creeped out. You guys all left, and I was like, I don't know about
Yeah, you had to
this.
stay here. I'm glad I got
don't
to
know
leave.
about
All
this.
right, the Navy pilots.
Yes, yes, okay.
UFOs.
Let's get started.
Oopas.
So back in 2017, I believe,
Waps.
the New York Times or Time Magazine, one of the two, had actually interviewed a man by the name of Commander David Fravor, who is now
I
a...
did my homework, man. You can look at the others too.
Oh, yes.
I
But
think he's
see,
just waiting to drill
I-
you, man. Yeah.
he knows,
That's what she
dude.
said.
My little words before he got in here is, I'm going to slaughter Austin.
Yeah. This is some sort of rival between you two.
Yes. Let me preface this before everything. Me and Austin have been at odds for our entire lives regarding aliens.
Just aliens.
Tell us. Yeah, nope, not just aliens. In fact, tell us what else you.
Pat subscribes to the Anunnaki.
That
but only
once upon.
certain,
Yep.
certain variations. And I subscribe to they exist, but probably not at all like that.
Probably or here. I think that's the other thing. You don't believe that they've been here or have ever come here or.
Not really, no.
Okay.
Then how do you explain everything?
Yeah, like the pyramids
All of the
Or-
ways we explain the pyramids.
or the.
Monolithic
Yeah,
structures.
mhm.
We
Or,
haven't even gotten anywhere.
or how they
Monolithic
are all...
structure.
Or
Go
how
ahead.
come the stars line up with all the stuff?
Exactly, that's what
Yeah.
I was going to say. And why are the Mayan temples the same?
Yeah.
And
as
why do the
the
stars tell
Egyptian
me my
temples.
personality traits?
Yeah, and why were
Before
ancient
I'm even
people
born.
really cool? Why did they care about the solstice?
That's because you're made of stardust.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, dude. Coming home, I'm coming
The hell are
home.
we talking about on this
All right,
show?
we're talking about aliens. Specifically, the Navy pilots who's seen... There's 3 videos that have become really, really prominent, I believe, after the ATIP program. The aerial... ATIP, I believe that's... Or aerial...
I think it is ATIP.
Yeah. Or they have a different program
Just
now.
a tip.
Yep.
No, it's like ATIP or something like that. It's like aerial phenomenon, something along those lines. Whatever they-
Awesome aerial
Unidentified aerial phenomenon. UAPs, basically,
totally
now.
is actual.
Well, like UFO and all this stuff has just become, it's kind of like the old term, so to speak. Going back to it, so back in 2017, I believe that Time Magazine, or I believe it was Time, and then the New York Times also did a piece about Commander David Fravor off the USS Nimitz. They were doing routine. They were doing. Sorry, I'll stop looking at you specifically. Okay.
The tension, man.
Anyway,
He's just staring me down for all the
Okay.
listeners.
so they were in doing routine missions with a fleet off the southern coast of, I believe, San Diego.
Yep.
Yeah. basically right next to Mexico. They had the USS Princeton, which was, I believe, a battle cruiser that had it had a spy, something radar spy system.
IR.
No, it's like something sick sounding. It's like the Phantom V, whatever. Blah blah blah. The highest rated, radar system I think that the U.S. military currently has, or had it in 2004 when this specific incident happened.
Right.
So 2004, the Nimitz, the Princeton, I believe, accompanied with a couple other ships, including the USS Louisville, which was a nuclear-powered sub, were doing these rotations down near the southern coast of San Diego. Now, for the 2 weeks prior to that, the spy system had been catching like a bunch of different objects coming from basically space straight down to almost above sea level, and then sometimes listing at like 28,000 feet and moving at like 120 knots, or not that fast, 100 and some miles an hour.
Didn't they say some of it went into the water, or is that something
Yeah, they
else
do.
I'm thinking?
Yeah.
That was, they would move south, and I think that's what they were saying. They'd float up to, well, they would see them at sea level. I don't think the radar goes below sea level. I mean, it might.
If it's on a sub.
I mean, yeah, there might be like different types. I think what they were seeing specifically, though, was the altitude changes.
Okay.
Between, I think, space and then like right above sea level, and then they would also hover at certain spots.
50,000 meters is what he said in
Yeah.
the interview.
Oh, which one? Who's
One with Lex.
Yeah. Okay. So that was Commander David Fravor. Yeah. So regardless, they were seeing some sort of objects, multiple apparently, up and down in these areas for at least the 2 weeks that they were there. Now, I know that one of the first things in the first video that they were talking about was when I heard about Commander David Fravor's story, he had only talked about him and his other wingmen. I don't know what's going on here.
I don't know either.
All right, Jesse, what do you got?
What do you want to say?
What do you want to say?
And we're back.
And we're back. Jesse has stopped laughing. Okay. Now, the first thing was that the USS Princeton, I believe that's the one with the spy system on it, had actually, they were like, whoa, these are weird radar readings. What are we doing? We are not used to seeing this. There's something must be fucked up with the system. So they actually turned it off, like rebooted the system, turned it back on, and they were still there. I also believe that they had heard that the crew members had actually gone out to the decks and been able to, like, apparently see small, like, in the distance, objects moving around erratically.
Right.
With these really high zoom, I guess binocular, whatever technology.
Right.
So they are visually seeing stuff, but they don't know what it is at this point. Now, after that, I believe, like 2 weeks goes by, the video, I believe, from Lemingo, or whatever his name is, from
Yeah.
YouTube. His video, he talks about first that there is a single-seater fighter that is sent to go look at the, at whatever this weird disturbance that the Nimitz or the Princeton had originally seen on November 10th. So he goes out there, and he sees basically the same thing that David Fravor and the other wingmen will say that they saw, which was basically just a disturbance in the water. He said it was circular from his vantage point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was like, okay. And they had mentioned something about the Louisville possibly being the culprit of this. It's like, oh, there's a submarine or something submerging under the water.
Right.
It would seem like, okay, that would be, okay, you got something under the water that's going down, and you do have a nuclear-powered sub with all those in that fleet, so to speak, that are down there. But one thing that I would like to note, too, is that, like, you don't think that the military would know where their crafts are? Or, this guy comes in, he's like, okay, because they sent him to this vector, to this place where they're like, okay, this, I think it was Kurth, there's like a Lieutenant Kurth, I believe, is the one who's the first pilot on the scene.
Okay.
He goes to wherever it is, and because they tell him to, they want him to intercept or whatever.
Right.
So he sees that. Apparently, then he's two others, which is David Fravor and I don't know his female wingman in the other.
Wing woman.
Okay, yes, you're right, Jesse.
Moose. But
yeah.
so what you were saying is that, I mean, but the thing wasn't it that they were also talking about how it could possibly be like a need to know basis. Like it could just be a classified thing that like they didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
and that the other thought was that okay, maybe this could be a foreign like
Yeah.
sub that we
foreign
don't know or another country or
Yeah.
something, and then that's kind of like where they're
Which one's this?
more
one?
antsy.
So this would still be the initial incident.
This is still the Tic Tac one.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the specific incident where
And so he
They
described it as a
visually-
frothing or a whitening of the
like a
water,
white
so
cap. Yeah.
like a seamount
Both
or
of them. Yes.
a thermal vent. Those are possibilities that could explain that. But if it was a Tic Tac, it could have been like a magnetic, like a. So hear me out.
Okay.
The way.
I mean,
An
The way
actual
certain-
Tic Tac.
No, the way
it's like, whoa, how'd that
certain
get down in there?
flows of like magma and liquids can have magnetic poles and stuff. So imagine if you had like a superheated fluid that's highly magnetic, and you have that going around acting as like a magnetic bar, and you have those kind of
The
know.
magnetic field
you
showing.
have that magnetic field. Imagine if it's a hypercritical fluid to keep something that like molten rock
Yeah.
hot. So imagine trying to keep that in there. You might be able to do crazy things with that field, and it could have been literally boiling the water.
So then, it
But
would've
like,
been, so
wasn't
we-
the
Explain
scale
Tic
pretty
Tac,
big? I mean,
Well,
Yeah,
they-
it was
he
like
said it was
40
the size of
40
it.
feet or something.
yeah, he
like
said
that.
it
that's
was
a lot.
It's the
Dude.
size of what a sub.
I mean,
like-
but imagine how
going down.
big it'd have to be to cause water to boil with
Exactly.
just that kind of field. I could,
like,
if we're going for the alien angle, that'd be cool.
I mean, that's what.
But I don't think there's aliens in it.
Well, what do you? Okay. Well, what do you were talking specifically about the white cap part, and that there could be like a weird natural phenomenon that's causing
that could
the
have
white
caused
cap.
that. Like, there's
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff that could have caused that. But
Yeah.
if we're going with it was an alien
Oh.
craft.
Well, I mean, like, you
maybe the
Take me down
propulsion
your
was boiling
tangent
the
so that I can destroy you.
this is what Patrick wants. Just
I'm sorry.
He wants to destroy me, but this is the one topic where I'm kind of like, yeah, they probably have sent drones.
There
that have
are
ended up
aliens.
here.
Oh! I should have said alien drones. I'm sorry.
No, but genuinely,
kidding.
I don't think aliens have come here, but I could see like they have just probes sent out. They have technology. They sent that out, and it's like, look, old school radio signals, and then they just end up here. And
okay, but don't you
I
think that'd be
boil
way
some
more
water.
advanced than like an alien spaceship? It's like us sending a rover. Like, yeah, it's possible, but there's so many like little
we've got stuff
glitches,
that left the solar system from the 1970s.
and it's just floating out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are like
It's
intelligent.
not boiling
radically
water.
or
Yeah.
flying.
Okay, so it's harder to believe that they made a robot to do these things than they're
Well,
in there.
no,
going,
no, no, no. That,
Like,
Yeah.
is that better? Is
Well,
that more believable?
I mean, okay, so that's because my whole over the 20 some odd years that I've cared about this subject, I have had a lot of revelations. Not revelations per
He's
se,
been
but
abducted.
I've changed my perspective.
Because government agents showed up on his porch when we started this
Men in black.
podcast, and we're just like, "Hey, you're gonna have to be biased about this stuff, man.
And then they hit me with one of those
Yeah.
flashlights, and what?
It'd be a shame if something happened to your newly found cat."
Yeah, I would definitely not talk about aliens if they threatened me. So
Anyway,
if I
go
stop
on.
talking about aliens, then you know there's a problem.
Yeah, Patrick's just like aliens. Psh, I don't believe.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Someone threatened his cat.
Yeah, I hate jujitsu. Oh my god.
They threatened his cat. Yeah. But I mean, okay, so natural phenomenon. Like, why would it? Okay, then it's like, so this natural phenomenon then would go to the surface, like this thermal vents, or
I mean, it could if it was big enough, and
Yeah.
the seamount's more likely
yeah.
because depending on how like water's hitting that, weird stuff can happen.
Okay, but I think at this point, I believe that where they see this is like 80 miles or a substantial amount of way off the coast. Is there a big? And the second part, because they were talking about how it's like, okay, rising tides, you can see, I think this was in Lex Friedman, it's like, okay, if the tide comes up, you can kind of see, there's some white rock, or like, there's like white caps. If this tide goes down, then you see like a couple rocks out in the bay or whatever. You're like, okay, that tide went down, so there's obviously something there. We can visually see that it's kind of still cresting over there. In the middle of the ocean, though, that seems a little bit less likely, and I believe that they also, at the end of the encounter, once they looked back, because I believe that so David Fravor and his wingman are both show up after Kurth or whatever. Now I don't think that Kurth, the first guy from Lemingo's video, ever saw the Tic Tac itself. He just saw there's something under the water that looks to be submerging or something.
Right.
The other two show up, and now they say, what David Fravor says specifically is that he says it's in the shape of a cross or something like that. You know, there's an X in the water or whatever, and then they see the Tic Tac itself sporadically moving about, you know, over this area. And of course, like, one of the things that he says, he's like, well, you know, the pilots are trained to do, you know, okay, you know, let's compartmentalize what we're like seeing. You know, there's a white foam, so it could be rotor wash from a helicopter or something, but you don't, he's like, it doesn't have the telltale signs, you know, there's not that swoosh up. It's kind of just like on the surface, you know.
Right.
I believe then they're kind of like trying to figure out what the Tic Tac itself is, and they start to maneuver on it. There's a nice visual in that Slemmingo video that'll be up in the show notes. So one of the pilots stays up high to get a vantage, I believe. The other pilot, which is David Fravor and his Wizzo, are going in a semicircle, basically trying to come down on this thing that's like right above the sea level. And I think they were at, do you guys remember at all what the height they were at? I guess it doesn't matter. They were high up. They were going down to sea level.
Within a matter of...
Yeah, like seconds, the craft actually apparently like starts coming up with them at a high rate of speed that they didn't expect from basically a standstill, I think.
And then it went to where their like location was before
a predetermined.
they were even there.
Yeah, the cat point, which is something that it's their training point, that's where they end up at the end or something.
Right.
So, but you know, so he makes a bank turn because he wants to cut across it, and all of a sudden that thing's gone. In a blip of a couple seconds, he says, that it was like 80 miles south or something, wherever their area was. So he visually sees something that we describe as a Tic Tac. I don't know. The whole thing is that these are like military people.
They're not yahoos.
Yeah, or
Right.
you know, and it's these. I mean, like Commander David Fravor, because like, okay, there's a lot of people out there. It's like, I mean, you know, like even if you think about like the abduction, the people who got abducted, like Travis Walton or things, you know, these are regular people that you could easily, you know, be like, you know, they need some fame, they need some spice in their life, so why not get abducted by, I don't know, something along those lines.
Right.
These are people who are like, well, they're solid in their careers. I don't know. There's a lot of ethos that you could put to military law enforcement, that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Who knows? You know, like only.
Well, and I think when you first see that, like if you're, you know, in the military or the Air Force or whatever, and you see that, your first thing is just like, is this a threat? Is this something that like somebody's spying on us? Is this like something that we need to worry about? It's not, the first thought isn't always like an alien thing. It's always like is this something that, you know, we should be skeeved out about for like non-paranormal reasons.
Yeah.
And then when they start to like actually, God damn it, start to actually evaluate these things, Jesse. When we start to evaluate these things, it's just kind of like, we better be, you know, like we can't explain it. Nobody knows. For anybody who doesn't know it, Jesse's sharing a gif of some alien shaking around, dancing, and he's losing.
Yeah, let's remember what we're talking about.
Yeah, so I was saying that it's basically, you know, your first thought is not a paranormal thing, and so that's kind of like where they're freaked out, and like that's where this level of legitimacy comes from, that it's just like, these aren't the type of people to be like, the first thing I saw was a portal to hell.
Yeah.
You know?
Call back. You don't.
It was a goddamn portal to hell, I tells you.
You're referencing the Skinwalker Ranch episode?
Right.
Yes, you are.
So, I mean, and that's kind of what gives them that angle of like, oh, this could be a little more legit.
Yeah.
But the thing that was weird too was that video, you know, the video,
Flamingo or
the video that comes out came out in like what he said 2007.
Yeah.
Of the aircraft or the Air
Force.
Oh,
when it was leaked out.
So it's just kind of like, you know, and at first everybody saw that and they were just kind of like, that's kind of weird and awkward.
Yeah.
And
Or you mean like that just is like, oh, it's fuzzy.
It's fake. People were just originally like, that's clearly a fake.
Yeah,
whatever.
there's nothing going on. Because I've definitely seen things where people are like, this is a UFO, and you're just like looking at a weird light going across the little like, you know, thing, and you're like, I mean, from here it could be anything.
Well, those are super common. Like the
Yeah.
ones that are like from NASA, I believe, where they see like, they're like, that's not a comet, because it takes weird angles that a comet normally wouldn't take
Yeah.
flying through space.
You're specifically talking about people who are like believers or whatever.
Right, and not
Or-
only that, but just the kind of evidence that gets put out, and then people post them on these forums of like, UFO conspiracies and stuff, and they're quick to jump to like, what is this?
Well, yeah, the people who want to believe, which is, I will
Reddit
give.
lost
I
8mm film.
I will just give you. I'll just
Alien
give
found over farm, Illinois.
Austin. Yeah, Austin. I'll give Austin some credence to this one. Yes, the people who are into this shit are hardcore into this shit.
Like those people that used to come into
Redacted.
Who?
that old lady.
Was she?
I remember you telling
was she
me about that.
UFO-y?
No, yeah.
I remember you telling, but I never talked to them. I never experienced it
They
myself.
were weirdos, man.
Yeah.
Tell me a story.
Go ahead.
Oh, they thought they had been abducted by aliens, and they would always bring all these alien books in when they came in to eat for lunch, and
And
they'd
you-
sit there for like 3 hours at a time.
You didn't tell me these people existed.
Because Jesse's over there just like, what a nutcase. I hope you get a good tip, you know? Like, oh, crap, what did I forget their order? But, I mean, if you, like, I follow alien abductions on Reddit or whatever just to see what happens, just to see. And it's like a lot of the stuff that people point, they're quick to jump to this conclusion that I was abducted, I've been abducted, and, not to discredit what's happened to them.
I'm 38. I've got a drinking problem. I do drugs occasionally, and I was abducted last week. And
Yes.
that's the Reddit post.
I mean,
and
yeah.
everyone's like, brother, I feel you. I understand where you're coming from.
Me
Which-
too. I
yeah,
had
yep.
an experience.
Yep, exactly.
Me too.
Well, we know you had experiences.
I think he's just referencing the Me Too
I
movement for
figured he was.
aliens. Yeah,
I had
yeah.
to. Yep.
Chris got
Hijacked
abducted.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
but
that's a good one.
I don't know what happened, and that's something that's
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't say
Wait.
that's the first thing.
Oh, I was gonna say because we'll bring Quick's thing. We gotta have him on.
Yeah,
That's gonna
yeah.
be like it's gonna be like season 3 finale or some shit.
Right.
But
Anyway, go on.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to the leak. Okay, so this is on a classified system. It's off. It's literally you'd have to take the video from the actual, you'd
Plane.
have to go to the plane that saw it, that was part of the incident. Download the footage, whatever, get it on the computers, and then get it off the ship. Now,
But I think what happened was they saved the footage because, like, that's just kind of the military MO.
Yeah.
Like, you save it for
exactly.
whatever, and then somebody, what was it? Somebody came across it, and they found it while looking at something else, or I don't know, and they quickly, they downloaded it, snagged it, or whatever, and then they uploaded it to the internet.
Yeah.
And where they uploaded it was, like, a page where,
Yeah, it
like,
was like
film students did something, so people were like,
Oh, I know. Yeah, it was called it's like, I don't know, UFO. I know it's one of the,
It was one of those
UFO.
weird...
Something, or
yeah.
strange something.
Yeah.
Right.
A classic UFO site. Now, it's interesting because and this was, okay, so that's 2004.
Strange
The
World.
2007 is around the time where, like, okay, let's just say that the internet it's becoming what will now become the internet, like
Right.
YouTube's around, all the forum sites that kind of came around in the early internet and have started to, like, really pick up traction because that was something else.
awful is born.
I'd type in, like, UFO videos in it, and I would literally go down the whole, page 1 to 5 of Google,
Right.
and they're all basically interchangeable. I never saw anything like this, but if I did see it, I probably would have been like, oh, that's not interesting. I want to see the ones that are like, the people are doing the CGI or something,
Right. No, I feel what you're saying.
No, essentially, I guess, it's like, okay, so they get the video off. So let's go back to 2004. After the Commander David Fravor and his co-pilot have this encounter and the thing ends up in their cat point, they end up turning back around and going back to the Nimitz or wherever they land. So they land, and then the next crew goes out, and this time the crew has like a thermal or some sort of camera on it, and that's when they actually capture the actual like tic-tac shape craft that they were talking about out in the water. And of course, like, it looks really boring. It's just like a tic-tac sitting there, but they actually got like a visual lock on it and everything. And I think that Commander David Fravor says that it was jamming their radars.
Yeah, which is an act of war.
Yeah, and it was doing it actively. It wasn't like, because I think there's
Why is
two
that
different.
funny?
I don't know.
Because you.
Because what are you? The aliens like?
Well, I mean, it probably.
They're gonna think this is an act of war.
Well,
Like they don't fucking know.
I mean,
chilling.
they're probably just like, this is bad, but it's like
They've got their Tic Tac drone taking water samples.
yeah, and it's just like, man,
And
we
it's-
really don't
it's-
need another one of these shot down.
Whatever's powering it is making this weird wave, and we're like, they're jamming our radar. And they're just like, we are hovering over the water.
And it's just like, you don't own this. And I do kind of think that would be kind of funny if they were just like, what are you trying to do? America?
That's
They
how
had,
yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly.
they had a lot of like these sightings before, anyhow.
Yeah,
like they always do in that area.
Yeah, apparently. Back to 2004. So they go back. These guys go out, film the thing. I think it's Joe Rogan's podcast. David Fravor is discussing the fact that, okay, so there's two types of jamming. There's like passive and active. And passive, I think, is like, you can't, like if you're trying to get a lock on a stealth fighter, the shape of it and just like the material, however, it bounces radar off of it.
Okay.
Or it deflects it or somehow, it's invisible. And then there's active, which would be like some sort of, like you're sending out a signal that's scrambling the thing. This was doing the active one. So it was intentionally scrambling their, whatever this
Or
lock
like I
was.
said, it was putting out some kind of pulse
Well, yeah.
related to how. I don't think in any way it was like jamming crap.
Yeah.
What do you mean
I
by
think
that?
that was just the effect. If it was an alien craft
You think it
of
was like
some
a
sort,
passive effect.
I think that was a passive effect of
I
the
see what
fact
you're
it can move 4 bazillion miles per hour and hover and.
It's
Yeah.
just
You know?
like something interfering with primitive technology that we
Yeah.
have no idea.
Like
how
We're
it
just
works
using
yet.
fancy waves,
Yeah.
and
Right.
if it's manipulating the water below it just by being there,
yeah.
then
It's like a magnetic
it's going to
thing.
screw up our
Okay.
wibbly wobbly technology.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And
I don't
Yeah.
think that it had any conscious effect of like I've got to jam these ships.
And I mean, I wouldn't say no. I'm also wondering though, only because they, at the time, they're looking at it. I don't think that if you tried to lock on, because they've locked on. There's other videos. There's 2 other videos that I think it's called the Gimbal and the Go Fast video.
Mm-hmm.
They were also taken. One was taken off the USS Roosevelt on the East Coast, and I think the other one was also part of the Tic Tac one. But those ones are like, they actually get a lock on them and they're looking at them. So maybe it was passive, or it could have just been like, it's like, oh, it really, they're like the same thing where it's like, okay, there's primitive technology, and they're like, look, they're trying to catch us with nets. But
See, and I would think it would be more in the instance that we are talking about, like, yeah, there are alien ships or whatever. It would be more like that's part of the design of it, that it's just like whatever it is, you're protecting it.
Yeah,
like, it's like the government agencies aren't going to have access to their stuff without password encryptions or whatever. It's just like that's just
yeah,
like
you're not
the
going to send it out there like a big old. It's like this could get knocked out of everywhere, and of course it's going potentially into the water, potentially into space.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. There's got to be pressure, et cetera, et cetera. Let's talk about. Okay, so that was the initial incident. That was the first one. They come back. They get the video. And I believe that's Chad Underwood. Chad Underwood is the pilot who actually gets the video right after Fravor and his crew come back. That video will be up in the show notes. It's kind of uninteresting. Now, one thing I do want to talk about, I mean, really it is, though, and this was also talked about on one of the podcasts, that he was running them through what the actual display is, because, like, okay, anybody could be, you could make that little fake display and put, black and white on it and put some numbers, and I'd be like, yes, the military's technology, that's what it is, and obviously they know what they're saying.
But then why would David Fravor put his credibility up?
Well, that's exactly, that's, kind of the point. He's talking us through it because he knows and he used that system. And one of the things, now this is going to tangent off a little bit, but I've always had this thing where in that video, if you look at it, they switch between IR and visible light, right? And when they go from the IR spectrum, it's like a lot thicker. The actual like craft looks a lot thicker, and then when it goes to visible light, it's kind of like a little fuzzy dot. Now, I've heard a lot of things about like infrared light being, or like like alien craft or alien drone technology, whatever it is, having different. It's like different. It plays with light. It's weird. I feel like it plays with light, time, space, that sort of shit. You know?
Ah, yes, the fundamentals.
Same thing with remember how
You know how we protect a boat by manipulating time, light, and space.
well it's like, go back to Skinwalker Ranch, okay? Where we
Can
have
we not?
No. There's weird paranormal
Could
things
we do
going on.
something other than?
There was those portals that those craft were coming in and out. Okay, I'm just saying. So there's some time and space and visible.
Where's Jesse's diagram
Remember
of
that?
Mel's
Okay,
hole?
There was a guy. There's a guy looking down.
I think he sent to you in a text.
Oh no, I saw that. I don't plan to look.
But there was one guy had an IR light, and he was able to see like a portal form and a being come out of it, and the other guy was just looking through like night vision binoculars and couldn't see anything. Whatever.
But night vision, what does that even
It
really
might
pick
be-
up? You know,
I don't know.
Well,
Well,
whatever it is, I'm
well,
just
I
saying.
wonder-
Up on low light. So.
Right.
Yeah, so it's low visible light versus infrared. So one guy's able to see something that
So
physically.
without producing light, he could see the non-light producing thing by looking at normal light spectrums and not low light spectrums.
Well, okay, yes. Well, that's when going back to that video. where
But
it's
it
like you
didn't
see-
produce enough light to show up in low light. So how did he see it?
it's
We
using
see by
infrared.
light.
It's different. It's a different.
No, you see
can't
with your eyes,
infrared.
Austin. You idiot.
Jesse always here to
Oh.
put you in your place.
Yeah, Austin, eyes.
I hate you say
Okay,
My eyes
Jesse,
are up
let-
here.
eyes. Hate
I'm
all
gonna
of
switch
you.
gears and let
Yeah.
you take the floor, bud.
What am I gonna
I
say?
want you to tell me what you think about the whole
Something.
incident. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's real.
All right. So you think it's real?
Yeah.
Do you think that what they saw under the water was their own nuclear powered sub?
No.
Okay.
What do you
Because-
think, man? You think it's alien? You think it's two different things? You think it's the same craft? You think?
Same thing.
Do you think that it's a drone, or do you think that it's?
No, it's real.
I mean, okay, so you
Like
think
an
that,
alien
yeah, it's
drone
like if-
or,
is Austin in it piloting it, or
Yep,
is it
he's
like,
piloting
or is
it.
it like a Tesla that can just do it?
Could be one of the two.
I mean,
I mean, that's a good point. I never
we
even
can
thought
already
about.
bomb anywhere on our planet anytime.
Without
I'm
having to
sure
be in the
an
missile.
alien species can sample water from anywhere.
and that's
Okay, but I mean, okay, in that aspect, you'd have to assume that they're close enough to be able to
No, you
like
don't.
in a weird. There's definitely a time delay from it, right? There has to be from sending signals to signals. Like if we're talking about
That's
light
the-
years.
Okay, we can make autonomous drones right now that can go and kill a person if we want to.
That's on
That's
Earth,
on our
though.
planet,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and these if they can get here, I bet that they can make something that can get here on its own.
I don't.
I agree with that. I mean, dude, yeah, like you can't. I don't know how you wouldn't.
We
like,
can get out of the
technology-
atmosphere, but we already have stuff that on our planet can do things completely independent of us.
Also,
They're
imagine,
gonna when you get both tech, they're gonna land together.
and if Roswell was real,
Well, then why they get alien bodies?
well, that's my point. That was back in the 40s. It's taken 80 years, and they're like, you know what we're gonna do? Not send people in there. We're gonna just do it by hand. But actually, there's another theory too that the grays that we see are actually biological androids. So that's a whole different tangent.
Okay, but I feel like they throw that into anything.
Dude, okay,
I
yeah, no,
mean, but think
that's
about
my
it. If you
favorite
have-
shit is where it's like, here's a thing that isn't very concrete and we don't know much about. What if, based on that near nothing, we determined that these were cyborg
Well-
entities?
Well, so
Okay, so you're telling me these aliens look more humanoid, but they've developed androids that give them the shape of grays, and they're super sophisticated, and they're just sending those
they-
instead to relay data.
Okay, so you literally. Okay, so let me just take you down this. Okay,
Okay.
so
Cast
Travis
system of
Travis
the
Walton initially wakes up in this thing after being abducted, and he sees 3 classic gray aliens. Okay,
Right.
These grays are kind of whatever, but he said that he
Three
got this
classic gray
weird
aliens.
He
and
got
they've
this,
got Mr. Ed playing on the TV.
Oh, yeah,
It's like they're trying to simulate our world.
Austin's killing me, dude. Oh God. Okay. Anyway, he got this vibe that these beings or entities were like on a hive mind, Okay, so imagine you got a hive mind. You have a bunch of like.
I always knew Mr. Ed was an alien.
Go on.
Yeah,
Hive mind.
Okay, hive mind of some kind. You have these, these little biological androids, so to speak, that are doing your little they're like, okay, we need you to do
Why the hell would they do that?
a whole medical list on this guy because he got zapped or he got abducted, right? They do all these things, but it's programmed into their being, but they're biological for some reason. Because you can create biological flesh because that's what they can do, maybe? I don't know. I'm
That's
just
like
saying.
a cyborg
Okay,
kind of thing.
Now-
you know where
no,
I
no,
said
I'm not-
that near nothing into a lot of something? That's what you're doing here.
Well, yeah, but that's also because we're talking about aliens, man. There's a whole bunch of...
yeah, you're making a science fiction book.
I know,
You're
no,
not
no, you
talking
don't.
about
Okay, but I have... Okay, so...
What
you
if
ever heard-
these greys were
Doctor-
actually
or not-
biomechanical beings created to perform one purpose?
Okay.
Patrick's going to choke hold Austin. I
Yeah.
can feel it.
No. I'm okay.
Get some brain force.
Oh, I'm gonna just... Okay.
Okay, go on. What were you
Okay.
going to say?
Colonel Philip Corso, who was on the cabinet, I believe, for...
Is this the guy who wrote that book in the 80s?
Possibly. I think it was the 90s.
Oh, is it the 90s?
Yeah.
Yes, but he was...
It looks like a very 80s cover. What's his name again?
Dr. Philip... Or not doctor. It's like... It's command... It's something... Philip Corso. Philip Corso.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, he apparently was pretty high up in the military, and he had told somewhere, I don't remember where because I watched a lot of shit.
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah. He was talking how he thinks that they got the bodies and they determined that they were like androids or like biological androids.
You're
because
talking
they
about
have-
from Roswell.
Yes, or yeah,
Okay,
or
or
some
whatever they
similar
got.
crash. Because
Okay.
Have you ever read this?
I have not, but I sure as fuck will after this.
My dad told me it's pretty rough.
Oh, your dad.
I haven't
does-
read it, but
Hey,
he said it
this
wasn't very
guy was like
exciting.
95 when he wrote that.
That's not my problem.
Okay, go on, though. Go
But
on.
he had said something about the fact that he was like, "Oh, these things are like biological androids," and I'm like, "Okay, you send basically AI dummies that can actually move around and manipulate matter, like pick stuff up if they need to. You send them out."
Okay, what were you going to say, Jesse? Why would they what?
Yeah, I would.
Why would they do that?
Why would they do what?
Make little animatronic beings
Well,
to
okay.
send them
I guess
to Earth.
It depends because
They would just go themselves.
But you don't
Would
know,
you?
man. Like, I mean, we send rovers to Mars before we ever go.
Yeah, but we don't make little tiny humans and send them there just in case we
Well, just little
interact with
robotic
something.
dogs.
I mean, there's still time. That'd be a hoot.
Well, okay, imagine this. Okay, human pig hybrids.
Yeah.
Human pig hybrids. You make them smart enough
The human pig
to go
hybrids.
to Mars.
We're gonna make them
get
smart
off of
enough
the
to send
ship
to Mars.
and
Elon Musk's
make-
in on it.
and make the colony or make the infrastructure,
No,
and then
Musk
they can
said
just
he's
die.
going himself.
Okay,
Well-
but that's the thing, dude. You don't know where they're coming from specifically. There's like so many theories that aliens are from Venus or whatever. Or there's a central core in Venus or blah 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 blah.
Or
blah.
they're like interdimensional, and they
Yeah.
don't even come from this.
my boy Alex Jones.
Yeah, they come from one of the 15 other dimensional planes.
Austin, you
I'm
remember-
learning about that
portal,
still.
man. Yeah, you are.
He's gonna join a cult, man. Watch it.
I'm not, but we're gonna have to do a special episode of this when I finally finish this damn book.
That would be great.
But okay, you don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what kind of effects they have to like our system, like the oxygen
Then-
we have, and like how they react to our environment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Remember War of the Worlds? They opened
they
their
died.
their
Science.
They
poisons
were all
by
high and mighty.
Science. They
poisoned
died
by
from
a
water.
ant.
Yeah, have you? So there's something that's kind of like the War of the Worlds, but it was like on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it was kind of funny because it's like a historical fiction documentary where we were attacked by tripods in like World War One.
Is that the X? or whatever?
No, it's literally, but it was actually pretty interesting. But it was really funny because like this whole, they're like, oh no, the aliens came and everybody, and then all these German soldiers went missing in the middle of the Black Forest, and then all of a sudden all these aliens are everywhere, and the European theater in World War One becomes everybody's attacking these aliens, and it's like told like a documentary, but at the end they're just like, and we thought that we were completely doomed, and then we sent a bunch of infected horses after them, and then the horses ended up killing them because they found out that they got the same type. It's weird.
All right.
It's hilarious, but it's also like weird.
Jesse's not on board with that. He's on board with these are actual
So,
physical
like-
beings.
Yeah.
So you
And-
think okay?
Yeah.
So you think that they're
The Great Martian War of 1913
That's
through
the one.
1917.
that's
Okay.
That's actually it's actually a kind of a interesting watch because you're like, wow, they really fucking because they made this whole alternate history to the world where
like that.
tripods attacked.
Jesse, okay, so
Yeah,
you
Jesse,
think
go
they're
back to
real.
you.
Yeah, I think they're real.
Okay,
Like real physical beings and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest, like that's
it is a plausible.
how I
alternative.
always thought about
And
it.
I
And
do.
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
very first time I'm thinking about androids. Like I kind of knew like, okay, yeah, it's possible that whatever.
So when what's his nuts got abducted,
Travis,
Yeah,
yeah, he said they were super weak and stuff. And if it's like an animatronic or like a machine or something,
yeah.
it'd be stronger than a person.
well, I mean, it
Well-
would make sense under like basic sketch that it's like skinny arms, skinny legs, big head.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you also think about space travel, and you're like, okay, we want them as compact as possible. They apparently, for some reason, as I was saying, they were like
they're like 2 feet tall.
they're biological though was the whole thing that Philip Corso was saying that they figured out that they were biological.
So
You're talking
that
like a
means they're
cyborg
real.
kind of thing, like
Yeah, like
based on like
it's made out
organic material
Yeah.
and like cyber.
Yeah.
cybertron.
Why would you make them wimps?
I-
I'm with Jesse
Yeah.
on
of.
that.
I mean, I couldn't tell you.
Imagine, like, our species is already so dependent on technology in so many ways. Imagine how dependent a species that can go interstellar would be.
Okay, but if it was
on
like for a
technology by that
scientific
time.
purpose, you're not going to send a brute in to be like
No, but you're
collect
gonna send,
samples.
You're gonna
Yeah.
send in your fancy robot that can, do
Pick shit up.
surgery at minus whatever scale,
Well,
and then
that's what
it's
the
gonna
ship
pick up
is,
the
you know?
cow.
It's like-
and leave gigantic gashes in it because it doesn't know what the fuck it is.
See, I don't know because I'm not gonna. I'm more on that side. You don't necessarily always need, what are they doing? It's not like all of a sudden there's these huge rocks that are gone. It's not like like a brute comes out and grabs
Right.
a big sample or something.
A cow is a pretty
But
big
the
thing.
Brute-
That's the ship does that.
The brute is the ship.
Yeah, so then why would there be anything else if you've already got a ship that can, one, obtain and subdue a cow, and then the ability, if you have that tech,
Because
and
technology can fuck up, but
space
people
is
have that. What's that thing?
absolutely massive, okay?
Okay.
And you're trying to scan space for I don't know what. What are you looking for? What are we deciding they're looking for? I'm still on water samples. But
No.
they have ships going everywhere.
Yeah.
Are you going to do the Invader Zim thing where it's like, okay, one dude, one robot, go. You guys have fun. Do your adventure in space. Are you going to go, here's 4 billion robots all programmed to find out what's on different planets. Fly forth. And then you just scatter different parts of the galaxy.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, like, you're not.
You got to think like an intergalactic species.
Okay, but they're expendable. There's no reason for a pilot to be so like.
Yeah, it could be a motherboard. It doesn't need to be some tiny little wimpy robot
But
man.
see, okay, but if you could imagine you put a motherboard and then you can encase it in like a human flesh, and then that human flesh can just
Is
motherboard
that not
anything.
just extra?
You talking
extra
about
steps?
sex robots?
No, that's not what I.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Request input.
I'm just saying it's like you put a motherboard inside of a person, and then all of a sudden they can like I don't know.
We've got like Lobot from Star
yeah,
Wars.
you just like imagine you get the little Navi thing, but you put it in, and all of a sudden your eyes become a projector, or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Or
Or
this
you
is
could put that in a machine, and then it could have a projector in it, and then you don't have to make a weird flesh sack thing
that's
to
primitive.
hold all of it.
Okay.
Okay,
well,
but you don't. Okay, but for instance, you don't
Okay,
know
so
the
then-
scope of the technology.
maybe
Like,
they're
that's the thing,
biological.
right?
Maybe they are biological. Maybe they are those beings.
Like
that
I
we
said,
just-
we're still past the here's near nothing. Now we're on to nothing. But I'm down. Let's keep going.
No, it's just anyway. Okay, so regardless, there's these craft out there that they have just seen and everything. So now the footage has been taken off of the Nimitz. It has been uploaded to the internet, and nobody's really 100% sure because there's nothing. It takes about until apparently 2015. There's the next time when the USS Roosevelt. Yep. Do you have something? to
Here's
say?
a possibility. What if it's the animal?
The animal.
Yeah, what the
what
hell
if-
are you talking about?
We haven't found like space life. What if it's literally like a space organism and it just happenstance by?
Oh,
How
wait.
is it going to
So
form
you're
in
saying
space?
it-
There's no like distinct.
You're saying the Tic Tac ship.
Could be a tic tac thing.
Yeah. I mean, Okay.
Okay.
So it's
We know little about it.
but
It
then
could be some weird, like a cell, but some
Yeah.
sort of
Like you're talking
space
about
So-
like
cell.
a cosmic organism.
Yeah,
that-
like a spacefaring
then-
entity.
I mean, okay. See,
Okay.
that would be pretty neat and
that would
pretty
be
interesting.
That's an alien.
Now you
still.
take all right.
You're right. Yes.
It's still an alien, but it's different. It's the alien.
But then how do you explain the little green people?
Yeah, well,
What
those
little
aliens.
green people?
Or think about it. You go, okay, so then you got a Tic Tac. Then you've got the saucer shapes and the cigar shapes and the ones that look like
But
bells.
hear me out. Those
and
are all
the
like
spheres.
Those are all like
Yeah.
cell shapes or rotolarian shapes.
Yeah,
so like
not
tiny,
all things
tiny life form shapes. Those are pretty much those. So
Like,
what
not
if that's?
all humans
Wow,
look the same.
maybe
What
they
if that's like-
designed
like-
maybe they designed their ships to look like cells.
I mean, like I said, we're
Yeah,
still
this-
in the realm of nothing.
a
That could also
carbon
be
ring floating around.
That would be absolutely nuts, though. You'd just be like, what in the bloody... It's
But
just-
yeah, but like maybe it's just simple forms of animal life, and then in space, in the vacuum, occasionally some weird goop. You know, maybe it's a fungi,
just-
some weird thing.
But then how do
maybe just
you explain the propulsion systems and like how they actually have like a physical ship according to
I
Yeah, like-
have no idea.
Well, yeah, so this is only if the Tic Tac is the only thing that exists in the world, and then
Well, no,
Bob
what was that
Lazar
other one
doesn't-
you sent? What was that weird one that looked like an Elite Dangerous screenshot? That weird.
Oh, the little like thing in it. Actually, you mean that weird like it was like triangular slash.
yeah,
Like,
with like the jagged edges.
well, okay, so that was actually. Now I've also heard that is not real. I have heard.
Shocker.
I don't have. But it's like somebody in the pilot seat literally took like a cell phone photo out of the cockpit window. But this was also in tandem with an actual story that people are talking about, that they actually have a like shot and there or like an actual photo that's not that photo. And then there was also talk about how there was an incident where a craft had come out of the water during a routine, like some sort of mission, and like nearly hit an F-16 going by.
Okay, I've heard that one.
Yeah, and that was with
the Go
this,
Fast? Is that the
no,
Go
no.
Fast?
This is like recent. This is like
Okay.
2020, I think.
Oh,
And this was right around the time where that photo started circulating, because everybody's like, this is the picture that they're talking about, and it's apparently not that picture that they're talking about. And I
But-
heard that on Joe Rogan.
Shocker.
Oh yeah.
But okay. But I mean, it's just I see what you're saying. I mean, I don't know. Okay, I lost my point.
You can see words too. I thought I was the only one.
Well, okay, so they take it off the ship, blah blah blah. You know, now you have nothing happening for several years until I believe
No, it's been
the
happening forever.
Time. Well, okay, yes. What I should say is that the phenomenon has been going on so long that we don't
Makes
even
me
know.
want to say phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
do.
Oh, okay. I remember what I was gonna say. So Jesse is on this. I think he's on where he says like all aliens fall under this one category, and it's all the same, like alien race, alien whatever. Right?
No, there's probably different ones.
Well, okay, in that sense, but it's very basic in the sense that it's just like you have your aliens and they have their different crafts and they come from different planets.
Yeah.
And then Austin is saying here that you have possibly cosmic anomalies.
There are so many possibilities for what it could be. Like the aliens in a craft we can think of that because we have made craft that went into
Yeah.
outer space with us monkey people in it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's something far more ethereal and weird for us. It's an entity from space. Maybe it's some weird quantum happenstance we haven't had. Like at that point, we can prove that it's probably a thing because there's so many reputable, pieces of evidence. But what it is, we have no evidence for what it is.
And this is kind of a weird tangent
It's
again.
an unidentified flying object.
But I've
Agreed.
also
UFO.
heard in other
UFO.
in other circles too, though, is that the ships themselves, they like the same thing with the biological androids.
They're like rolling down the window and flipping them off or something.
No, the craft itself is actually like a biological or like
It's alive?
like it has a consciousness to it. Yeah, something like that.
But I mean, isn't that basically what a computer system is eventually trying to get to in a sense?
AI,
Like,
that's what
yeah,
AI is.
or people at the same time. You think that we're trying to kind of transcend our biological selves to be able to like imagine if you could just kind of like you die.
Oh,
but then you,
there's a possibility we didn't consider. That's just a different race post
singularity.
Well, that's why.
And their technology has
that's-
run rampant.
What happens
That's a
if it's just
foreign
us?
Terminator species coming to destroy us because we haven't caught up yet.
Well, I was wondering, what about like if we become able to, extend, we can transcend time, space, blah blah blah, our physical selves. So now all the humans are living in the fifth dimension. They're all in the cloud
Was
or
that
whatever.
Happy Days?
Now, now we can go back to Earth now still, because we can send our. We can
Maybe
send
it's already
shit.
happening.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's a weird
Whoa.
circle.
I mean,
What
but
if
that's
we
like
are the
Whoa.
aliens,
That's
and
almost-
these are ourselves just coming back and being like, "Hey, we're back this time." Now.
Doesn't that
Once
almost
again-
follow into like simulation kind of
I mean,
theory?
That either falls into simulation or religion. Because at
Oh.
that point, you're either placing humanity at the center of so much conceptually. When the universe is huge, it's like, nah.
But think about
all
it.
that stuff
No, what
showing
about
up.
how
us.
we evolved? Like they said, like there's like a theory
Genetic. Yeah, well, that's
theory
the
that
Anunnaki.
they like messed with
Genetic seeding or whatever.
Yes.
with apes.
You should
And
play
then here we are.
Ancestry. Go ahead.
Ancestry.com. But yeah, like you have.
No, I'm talking about the game.
Evolved.
Oh.
It's
No,
evolved.
it's Ancestors.
Where you play as a monkey.
Yeah,
That's evolved.
No,
No, it's called Ancestors.
the
Oh.
Human or Odyssey or something like
That
that.
game's
Yeah.
sick.
Dude, I started playing it.
It's ridiculous.
That game is awesome.
It's hard as hell. Anyway, continue.
Go on,
Sorry,
yeah.
we're talking about evolving.
I mean, I can't really anymore. You just get that, because then that will just tangent into me talking about the Anunnaki and the whatever you call it. There's some theory, ancient astronaut. theory,
Okay,
that's
yeah,
what
I
it
mean
is.
that's kind of a good point though. Like, I think everybody's quick to take this footage or take whatever it is or whatever they found, and the UFO community is quick to be like, "Yep, that's what it is. Here's
Yeah.
solid proof. Here's whatever." But nobody's thinking of the outside. Like, yes, it is unexplained, and that's like the mystery of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like like Austin says, like it could be like some cosmic
Yeah, something that.
event that nobody thinks about, like a scientific reason.
Well, because we're trying to put our own. We're like, we made ships, so that's what it is. Like,
Yeah.
Right, like a condensed space dust into a pill shape, whatever.
Who knows?
Why is interesting too is like I'm thinking, like they don't even have to be here. It could be a fucking drone, and that thing's just a solid computer.
Yeah, I'd never thought of
flying
that
around.
before.
But you're like,
whenever
I didn't either.
like,
Yeah.
I think
'Cause
about
now we have
space.
drones.
How would we ever be able to explore it? It's huge. You would need to you'd need to pull a Musk and Neuralink splooge drones across the galaxy to go do that work for you, so that you don't waste your time
But
on
the
places
thing is
that aren't.
that-
neat.
Elon Musk doesn't think aliens are real.
But he thinks we live in a
But he
simulation.
is one.
So.
So
yeah. Did you see the thing where he just like?
He does talk weird.
Okay, but I mean, in that instance, I know it's because I probably just can't comprehend like the mathematical side or the scientific side of it. But like, how do you send such fast transmissions across galaxies?
who says they're setting them back that fast?
That is true.
But I mean, like,
If they've got interstellar travel, maybe it's faster for it to physically
Dude, it's
return
probably just like
to wherever
internet.
it needs to.
It's like an internet.
what?
he means
That's their
that-
internet. Just
he
like
means
I
that
want to
just
Google
somehow
A
it
Earth.
happens.
galactic
Yeah.
net.
Yeah.
But
He's talking about Wi-Fi, I think. where
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
you don't
yeah,
have
yeah.
to connect to the
Like, you
internet.
don't-
who
But
knows?
Wi-Fi is like limited. Like it can only
on that
travel
same
so
note,
fast.
there's cosmic vibrations.
How'd they
Maybe
get
there's
back-
a way to transfer data.
How'd they
like
get back
that.
the freaking footage from the moon?
That
in
took
real
a while.
time.
That took a while, dude. It
That
was
No,
was
like
like
you
a
were, you were
time.
multiple
Wasn't there
hours
like- it was like-
behind.
yeah, it was like
NASA
there
was
was a
on
delay.
like NASA was like 15 or 20 minutes behind or something like that.
yeah.
But
It was- I thought it was
everyone
pretty
else
damn
was
quick.
way
I think.
behind.
Well, you're right because I think it's like I don't even think it was actually that long. Let somebody.
It was
tell
like 20 to 10 minutes or something in that range. But it was still a delay, man.
me. Yeah.
Like they have to, or
Delay.
like I think
They
a
had
lot of
massive radio towers on Earth. They were bouncing it off of
Yeah.
other countries' stuff.
they use 13G.
They bounced it off of the.
They use their cell
alien,
phones.
Alien radio towers
wow,
on the
okay.
opposite side of the moon.
What did you find?
That is really quick.
Suck it.
1.2 seconds is
Holy
that
shit,
the
hell yeah.
delay. So, yeah.
I thought it was more than that, man.
Hold on, in 1961?
Maybe we're thinking about 13 because of the movie Apollo.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
where they were behind the moon. Maybe that's the delay we're talking about.
No, because I haven't seen that movie, so yeah,
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
add it to my list.
Okay, I'm just gonna. That's radio
Yeah,
transmission.
radio is super fast, but like for
Yeah, I don't know. I put it in like with the I said video, but I don't.
there's a huge delay.
Probably, I don't know, but I mean, even so, you're still like at least you're looking at a couple seconds.
Yeah.
delay,
So like,
because
but
it
But
doesn't-
that's from the moon, right?
yeah, but I mean
Yeah,
that's also
that's pretty
something
far
that you
away.
because we had radio
It's
dishes
fairly
pointed.
close.
it's also
You
like
can see it.
imagine it's still whatever it was
But if
moving
we
fast
did
enough
that,
to
imagine what they
startle
can do.
people. Yeah. To startle people is how fast it was moving. So the power it's got, who knows how much power it's sending out or how it's connected. Maybe they've mastered wireless power. Maybe, like I said, it's not powered and it was just some
Tesla did
weird
that once.
thing. I mean,
Yes, then he
so
was
did Disney.
canned. And Tesla was knocked. Put a hit out on his ass.
I get what you're saying, and it's just like maybe I just can't grasp like the science behind it, which makes sense. But I mean, at the same time, like in my mind, I'm assuming this is like a whole other galaxy, not just like on Pluto or something.
Well, that's
Yeah.
Well, I'm not
Yeah.
imagining Pluto, but I'm imagining if it is, another galaxy, still transmissions can go pretty quick and pretty far. If you got enough power to power it,
Yeah, have you
There's
seen
a
the
good
transmission
book.
in my truck?
there's a good book I've been reading, or a series I've been reading
It's
that
the cult book.
you love because Joe Rogan recommended
oh,
it.
the third body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the three body problem
Okay.
and its sequels. It's I don't want to
Four body
spoil much,
problem and the five.
but it
body
talks
problem.
about
I only have one
no,
body,
no,
man.
the Dark Forest. I think is the
It's
second
still
one.
a problem, isn't it?
It talks about like a Chinese experiment with a large radio tower, and they found a way to use the sun to magnify a radio wave, and it's like a theoretical thing. I don't know if there's any
They
way
kill
to
ants
test
with it?
No, but they do that and then manage to like contact or somehow communicate with a different race, and then it's all this
What?
the stuff that comes from
Is
that.
this fiction?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's very well written, and it's a pretty short read. I highly recommend.
Well, you
No.
should read The Greys by Whitley Strieber.
Right
Do
now,
I
I'm
read?
in the,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, do
deep
you not
in the
read?
midst
I
of
don't.
the Arms of Krupp, so I've
Damn.
got a lot
Not
of
like
that
leisure
left
reading
after
books.
that. Sure.
I forgot
I
you
honestly
have
didn't
the
get into
whole.
reading until
Yeah, you got the whole
after high
library
school.
to get.
After
I'm
high
reading a
school.
lot.
What?
After high school?
Yeah, like
That
I
was a
never
long time
read in
ago.
high school. Like I always did like the Spark Notes. Or I think the one book I
Yeah.
read was Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, see, I read everything in high school.
But then
and
it was
didn't like
after
any of
high
it.
school that I got into reading that I was just
Yeah, I
like,
don't even
dude.
remember the last time I just like, you know what? I'm gonna leisurely.
This is why you're having trouble because you don't read.
You know there was a second L.
But I mean,
Yeah. Anyway.
yeah, I think it takes the right book to kind of like get into reading because that's what it took for me. Like one book that I just couldn't get down.
Dune snapped me back into it.
Dune? Mine was I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell by Tucker Max. Dude,
I've heard of
it
that
got
book.
me into it. I was like, damn, this is good.
Dude, Dune got me back in. I read like way too much Dune for a few months.
Dude, I read.
I
a
finished
book.
all the originals and then all of the main.
Dude, I can't believe you're doing
extras.
that, dude. I'm not at that level yet.
Dude, I don't. Yeah, the same shtick where he's just like, no, just sit down and read for 4 hours, and I'm like, I
Yeah,
have a hard
no.
time.
30
Looking
minutes
at
is
anything.
pushing it.
No, man, you just
One is pushing it for
pop
me.
some music on and then you can read forever.
What are you
I
talk-
can't do that.
See,
Like,
I can't
how?
See, I can pop in some book on tape and just forget
Yeah,
about life,
that's what
and then I'm
that's
done.
what I can do.
Yeah.
I like doing
I
that.
read faster than like most books on tape go.
You can set the speed on books on tape.
I know, but I don't want it to sound like a chipmunk.
Dude, you don't have to. It's
It
just
would be
very quickly.
hilarious to hear the book I'm reading now as a chipmunk. Though.
I think it would make a lot more sense.
No.
Dude.
There's so many German words. I have to like look at the bottom.
Oh,
and
we're not talking
translate
about the
out.
cult book.
No,
Oh, okay.
that one they do not have an audiobook for. They do have an audiobook for the
You
Arms of
should
Krupp.
be
That's
the
what I was gonna say.
audiobookist.
Yeah.
I really don't want
You-
to.
In your
Contact that
fancy
lady.
voice.
Contact that lady. Just be like, hey, I'll do it for free. We've already done it.
Yeah, I'm basically reading it.
Yeah. Just
Might as well-
put it online, and then just like forever, you will be that guy. And then just start trashing them, and then be like, crap, we have this great book that everybody can listen to on tape, but now he's fucking us.
I don't think they would care.
I don't think they'd care.
I think you should still do it, just to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In today's day and age, it's
Aliens, pills,
Sorry.
the Navy.
Aliens, pills,
Aliens, Pills, the Navy. Okay, that's
That
going
was
to
a
be the
weird
title of the
tangent.
episode.
I like that one. It's catchy.
Where did
I know
did
it.
pills come into this?
Because it's a
Tic
pill
Tac,
shape.
yeah, it's like a,
The pill-shaped
No.
Tic Tac shape.
So do you think Tic Tac trademarked their name so like now they get money every time they're like We trademarked the alien ships.
Hope not.
No, because then
Yes.
anything that was
I hope
shaped as
that
a
somewhere
tic-tac.
hidden deep in the patent office is Tic Tac's alien spaceship
Yeah,
design.
dude, those the poor aliens keep coming by and they have to pay royalties all the time. So like,
Anytime you-
sorry,
yeah,
okay. this is
anytime you
good
pop
design.
a pill, that's just like TikTok is just
Yeah.
cashing money because they're
Say
just like,
TikTok
that's
is
He said TikTok.
TikTok.
Back in my day, TikTok was most known for Kesha's song.
Now there's something interesting because a lot of people want to go into the when the the footage got leaked or whatever. I know that there was a huge amount of story about or not a huge story, but there was talk, especially in that limo video, about a black helicopter showing up, in the middle of the night and taking all the footage and destroying it and erasing it. Classic. Oh, here comes the government. Which I do believe that they have done that and destroyed evidence or tampered with or in some regard done that. But
Okay,
Yeah,
but to
it's
touch
shady
on that, I
mother
feel
truckers.
like some of the stuff that they've done that to is that it's not useful information. They're
Didn't
just like,
Dave
there's no reason
or whatever
to keep
say
this.
that he didn't? That
well, that
never
was
happened.
yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's like, okay, see, like you talk to him and he's like, that doesn't happen. But that's
He
where
was just
like
a
the
colonel, though. He's
I mean-
like small potatoes.
well, that's why it's interesting because he also wouldn't be because he was talking about seeing the the disturbance on the water, but he didn't. He's like, well, I didn't think it was a sub. I knew it wasn't a sub because I've seen subs before and you can't mistake it or whatever. But at the same time, like, he didn't even think like, oh, that might be the Louisville that we're not, we didn't know that he was also out here doing whatever because that was a part of that
Right.
same thing. But as I was saying, like, there's the credence to when that video came out that all these people are just like freaking out and they're like, oh, it is, it's like, it is the secret government. And then they destroyed the tape and this is the only thing that's left and it used to be longer and, there's probably more to it or whatever. And I know, like, maybe there is. I don't know. But
The people who
David-
saw it and took it say there was.
yeah, David Fravor's like, I don't see how that would be possible. And, like,
And I mean, the fact is that there probably could have been more to it, but then it was uninteresting footage. Like,
Yeah,
it was
really.
just like, that's not the meat and potatoes. Like, it's like, we
Yeah.
don't really need this. So,
no,
what the hell's the point?
they were like, oh shit, turn the other eye.
yeah. I mean,
was-
maybe.
that. Hear me out. Put on your Alex Jones pants. Imagine, if you will,
Ooh.
that it's the government covering up
The
for
government.
more significant and effective evidence that could be elsewhere by being like, yeah, this happened. We don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun with that,
So it's
skeptics.
a smoke
And
screen.
It's
Well,
a smoke screen.
'cause
It's-
there
it's
was-
a little. It's a. Here's the sample. They sprinkled some treats at the end of the doorstep for all of the conspiracy dogs.
Yeah.
And now.
Well, like in that Lemino video or whatever it was, I think at the end they had those two guys that were talking about it, and one of them was saying something to that effect, where he's like, "Well, when we had talked to the higher ups about it, they were kind of like, it was almost like a disinterested sort of vibe, where it was kind of like, maybe he
They were
was
just
leaning."
acting like it.
He
They were
was
like,
he was like, it seems like they were leaning towards maybe that it, they knew the
They'd known
higher
about
ups
it.
know what it is,
Right.
and they don't want to necessarily it's like it, maybe it was a Northrop Grumman aircraft or a Lockheed Skunk Works type of craft, but then again, it's like
we'd have already seen it then.
That's not true, though. How
yeah,
long
'cause
did that one?
the SR-71 Blackbird didn't come? They didn't know about that for 30 years.
Yeah, they didn't know about that for a long time,
When did
man.
that come out? The 70s?
So they started reporting on it pretty shortly after it went into service.
Really?
Because they were like, what the was that?
But like,
But nobody knew what it was
Yeah.
exactly.
plane is
But
I thought that was one of the. They said that the SR-71 Blackbird was one of the greatest secrets of the American
Yeah.
government ever.
I've heard that too.
I mean, they kept it pretty secret here, but like the Russians
And the
knew
stealth.
something was going
Well,
over.
because no, the Blackbird never got shot down. It was the F-17, the F-11 7A.
I have a buddy that sells airplane parts.
Okay, is this a
callback.
plug? Is this a sponsor? Do
That's
we have a
callback to
sponsor
like
this
the
week?
first episode.
Yeah,
Really? Oh God!
Oh yeah, yeah.
Throwbacks
Oh no,
beyond
he
my
was
memory.
he was talking about the F-35s, and you just kept shitting on the F-35s.
Oh yeah,
I was pretty pissed too. I was like, "Fuck you,
yeah. He works
America."
at Lockheed,
Yeah, but I mean,
I mean, the Lockheed out in
Texas. That's where they make them. In
There's a
Dallas,
Lockheed
in Fort
over here,
Worth.
right?
Yeah, the Lockheed here is for space stuff and missiles.
but I mean that seems more reasonable to me though, honestly, that it's the government hiding other stuff or whatever. That's just like or some other country is just like, we're working on secret
Yeah. stuff.
We're not exposing it, and people are just like, we don't know what that is.
But that's,
And it's just military-based stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so then would you lean credence to the fact that because they saw this and they're reporting on it.
Right.
And I don't know, because I'm like, okay, these guys, they would keep their mouth shut if somebody probably was like, because like, okay, if a Men in Black come in and they like destroy the video and everybody's like, and it's super weird and secretive and everybody's like, what the fuck was that? Like you're going to talk about that or you're going to want to talk about that. You're going to be more interested than if somebody's just like, I'm not that interested. It was nothing. And then these guys are like,
that's what I'm saying, mundane response to get some people going,
They know more than they're telling.
and then to get other people like, well, if it's they don't care.
See,
but then the
maybe
curiosity though is
no, because I don't think they'd like come in and just rummage everything. If anything, this is the way you do it, and this is how I took care of like messed up orders back in the day.
Yeah,
when it was messed up,
it's just
you just take it to the office, eat it, and then quickly make a new one, and nobody ever knows. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just kind of
the
like
old switcheroo.
Yeah, and people are just like, oh, that took a little bit longer than usual. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Whatever.
Yeah,
What's that on your lip? Mustard?
But then, how do you explain the element 115 or whatever the hell?
Oh yeah, that's a whole. Oh man.
So then that came.
We're gonna. Yeah, we're gonna. We gotta not go. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Can we not?
Trust me, no, we shouldn't. It's not a good place to. We're gonna keep wrapping around here. We're almost done with this.
That should be like a 30-minute episode. And just let Jesse go.
It exists, but not like that. And then we end the episode.
That's how Austin would rule.
Yeah. Just use that sound clip and throw it in.
Yeah, no, there you go. That's the whole
Special.
episode. 15 seconds long.
What were we talking about just before that, though?
Like the government wouldn't just come in and just delete a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And be under.
And then also, like, I feel like, okay, like, if you listen to Commander David Fravor, he seems like a completely reasonable guy. If you were like, so, we sent you out there to go look at this thing that we wanted to see, and test out or whatever. And that is a highly classified, I don't know, spy drone that can go underwater and find subs or some crap, whatever. And just be like, keep your fucking mouth shut. And then I feel like he wouldn't have gone talk to the New York Times.
But maybe he wasn't on the need to know, man.
I mean, that's the thing.
He needed to know.
But I mean, that's where I'm just saying,
But
like,
did
this need to know in certain circumstances is like, maybe it's harming you more than like, because I'm like, okay, imagine like the
After
Roswell.
World War II, they established a world government because they found alien parts kidnapped by the Nazis from smaller races across the lower country.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, right there. Yes.
After
yes.
that world government coalition came together, the aliens
Preach
have been
it.
hidden as we've been taking their technology to create new, fantastical revolutions. And that's why we're at where we are.
He's got like a backup
Blu-ray was
generator
used
and
to
everything.
kill people.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's a good way to end it.
I got to say, it's all right. Let's wrap this up. What do you think here? We have.
It was definitely an unidentified flying object.
Okay, but if you had to guess, what would you say?
Yeah, out
It's
of
like,
okay, so we have.
I'm still, if it is an alien anything, it's a drone.
Okay.
But I also like cosmic entity.
Okay. Oh, What the?
That's just like
whoa.
the weird spacefaring
Not
animal.
even that it was like Northrop or some
Nah.
Raytheon has a
Raytheon.
I just-
Northrop Grumman.
Boeing the Boeing Black Project or whatever they are.
Skunkworks.
That's the Lockheed, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. All these things. So that is something I am blown away, Austin.
Because of the technology doesn't seem like something, if we're doing here, that there wouldn't have been evidence of us screwing up making.
Right?
So
And that was
Chernobyl.
at this point that was 17 years ago. That was 17 years ago when they had that experience. 2004. Well, in that Lemonio video, it's kind of funny because it's like it was very 2004, and then it goes
Yeah,
to like some
flat-
commercial
yeah,
about
the
flat
squish
ball. Yeah, and I'm like, I fucking remember seeing commercials for that.
I was
And
young.
Yeah, and I'm like thinking, I'm like, man, what-
now I want a flat ball.
I know, like, I never got one.
That
of
was
those.
the
Like,
real alien technology.
Yeah.
It's just like, how do you
think-
take a spherical object and turn it flat?
Like the Earth.
Oh my god!
That's exactly what happened. God flatballed it.
Yeah.
The Earth was
to
a
toss
ball
it
until
around.
the aliens came and taught us
eyeballing
how to
it,
flatten out
flatball
balls.
it.
Then we became a flat Earth.
I mean, okay, Austin.
Yeah.
So if you
What's
were to
up?
say what it was, like whether taking both into consideration, like paranormal and real, what would you say? What would you lean on?
I mean, it seems like something was there, so I'd say it was. I'm not going to say it was the ghost
was
of a
real.
Tylenol or something,
Right.
but I don't know what it was.
All right. Okay. I can only push him
Pat
so far.
needs to go clean himself up.
He just see me kind of just like, I got what I wanted.
Yeah. There, I proved it. I knew it.
I proved it. It was a thing.
Yeah. Skeptical no more. Believable guys.
Yeah, it's just like rip the fucking front end of our name off. Just,
Yeah.
Eyes for paranormal.
I mean, okay,
You'd get it if you read more.
dude. That was,
It just wasn't funny.
I don't know, man. There's a 3-1 consensus. It was pretty funny.
I laugh at a lot of stuff that I say, and you guys don't laugh at any of it.
You laugh at
So-
shit
Yeah,
you don't
laugh at
say.
a lot, yeah.
You'll sit there and laugh for a minute and a half about something you have yet to say.
it's true.
That's true.
I gotta cut out like at least 30 minutes this episode
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are gonna be like, "Man, that's really odd." They're talking about something that I never heard about before. It's like,
Oh, that's true.
I mean, okay, so now we know what Austin's is. You already know what I'm about.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about that.
This was one of the great seed ships that made our great race flower in the early ages of evolution.
Thanks, Austin. It's just like you're writing my
And
book
Jesse?
for me.
Yeah. I think it's aliens.
Okay, but you think that it's aliens,
Aliens. Real
in
aliens. Yeah.
it. So there's a bunch of there's only like
Not like
two.
a bunch.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like two.
There's some
Yeah.
sick
per one or
alien
something?
homies chilling in a ship,
Yeah. About to go to the
Plastic
Holiday
aliens.
Inn.
taking water samples.
All right. And then Michael.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think it's aliens. I think it's weird that it's unidentified. I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of different angles. Like it could be like a government cover up from some other country, or I never thought about the Austin point, the cosmic thing or anything like
Yeah,
that.
like
and I
it being.
think unknown, something to our world unknown yet. That
Yeah.
could be from
For
like,
something random to show up, that's still conceptually my favorite. Like, it makes a lot of sense if, in the great vastness of space, something can live, that it would just show up at random, do things more or less at random like an animal, like follow the patterns of, some flying thing going back and forth. That's why
Yeah.
I knew where the cat zone or
Well,
whatever
that's
was.
the thing is that was predetermined, and I think that they're supposed to find it. Like
In
it's
the
through
interview
the-
with Lex, he was talking about how
so there was already.
they're supposed to find it, but once they've done the routine a couple
So have
times,
they
they
done-
know where the
Oh,
cat
okay, so
zone's
they
gonna
have
be.
done it.
So they've been doing it that whole week.
well, then there's
So
that.
like, if it was just an animal that ended up here, and was like,
I mean, mate, I mean, hey,
that's one of my favorite explanations for it right now.
super weird, but it's. Okay, so we're just gonna cut it here because obviously I just get going and they're just gonna stop. But So yeah, skeptical hour for the paranormal guy.
pills and ships.
Yeah,
and
what the?
thrills.
Trains, planes, and automobiles.
Yeah, buddy.
Water pills and